A very warm welcome to all of you. In this part of video, we will discuss about how to traverse data frame row-wise or column-wise, use of head and tail method in retrieval of data from data frame, and lastly, descriptive statistics, that is, the functions of Python pandas like min, max, mean, median, mode, quantile, variance. Iterating over data frame. Now we can iterate over data frame through two methods. The first one is iterows and the second one is iteritems. If we want to access the data row wise, we will be using iterows, and if we want to access the data column wise, we need to use iteritems. Iterows can be used by writing the following code, that is for bracket row comma row series in df2.iterows. We have to write a for loop which will access the data frame through iterows, and we'll have two variables, one row and the other as row series. Now we'll be printing row index which will have the value in row, and the row series will be having the preceding data of the row. Like if we have a data frame df2 which contain this data, let's access the data frame row wise. So we will run this and you can see that the row index what we have got is Anant for the first row. So this is the row index what we are printing here, and the row series variable consists of Anant's mark subject wise. So we have this. We also have the second row with row index arena and the values are English 35, maths 30, that is the second row. Here the row specifies the index, that is the label of the row, and row series contains the data for the corresponding row. If we talk about iteritems, it extracts the data column wise. So let's run. Now let's see the code first. So for call comma call series in df2.iteritems. So we have a variable, or you can say data frame named df2, and we will apply for loop in df2.iteritems by writing two variables. One is call and call series. Call will have the name of the column header and call series will have the marks corresponding the column. So if we talk about the first column, that is English, it has marks 40, 35, 20 and 33 of Anant, Arena, Arun and Astha. So you'll be getting it column wise marks for English, then for maths, along with the row headers. So if you need to access the row or column simultaneously or one after another respectively, you can use iterows and iteritems. Now let's talk about head and tail function. So we use head and tail function to retrieve the first 5 and last 5 rows of the data frame. So head is used for retrieving the first 5 rows and tail the last 5 rows. So let's read an Excel file called sample file. So we'll run and we will get this data. So we have this data into data frame 1. Now if I want to access the first 5 rows, I will be writing data frame dot head and I will run. So you can see I have got the first 5, that is Samath, Shakya, Rohan Bisht, Kapil and Gargi. So I have got first 5 records. if I write DataFrame.tail and run this, I'm getting the last 5. So it starts from Manasvi, Mitali, Nitya, Nehal and Gargi. Now if you want that some specified number of rows from the top or from bottom you need to print, then what you need to write? Now if you want the top 2 rows to be printed, we need to write data frame 1 dot head and then you need to write 2. If you write this, you'll be getting the top 2 rows, that is Samarth and Shakya. So you can just see. Okay, in the same way, if you want the last 2 elements, so what you have to do, you have to write tail 2, the last 2 records. So you will get Manasvi and Mitali. Now again, if you want some last 3 rows, you will be getting it Nitya, Mitali and Manasvi. Fine. So I think tail and head is clear with you. Now let's talk about the descriptive statistics in Python Pandas. So there are various functions in Python Pandas. So we'll just have a look. The first one is count function. It gives you the number of non-null observation in the data frame. Sum function will give you the sum of values, mean will give you the mean of the values, and so on. Like we have median, mode, standard deviation, minimum value, maximum value, absolute value. CUMSUM means cumulative sum, and CUMPROD means cumulative product, or prod means the product. So these are the functions which can be applied on data frame and you can get the output for that. So the very first function is your CUMSUM and CUMPROD, or CUMMAX and CUMMIN. So how do we do this? Now if we have frames like we have df9, right, and we write df9.CUMSUM. So if you see, we have the value, the first row value is 212, the second row value is 438, and the third one is 673. So if I write CUMSUM, df9 CUMSUM, the first row will be as it is, and in the second row, the first row will be added. So you can see 4 plus 2, so you get 6 here. 1 plus 3, you get 4 here, and 8 plus 2, 10. Again, in the third row, it is summation of all. So 6 plus 4 plus 2 is 12, 7 plus 3 plus 1 is 11, and 8 plus 3 plus 2 is 13. So you can see what a CUMSUM is doing. Now, if I write axis equals to column, so what will it do? It will add column wise. Like here, 2 plus 1, 3, and 3 plus 2 is 5. So can you see here? So first column value is 2, then we have 2 plus 1, 3, and then again we have 3 plus 2, that is 5. 4 plus 3, 7, 7 plus 8 is 15, so on. So by default it takes axis as rows, otherwise it takes as columns if you prescribe the axis. Now you can just see prod also the same way, so you will multiply here. So 2 into 4, 8, 1 into 3, 3, 2 into 8, 16. Again, what do you do? Then again you multiply. So 8 into 6 is 48, 3 into 7 is 21, and 16 into 3 is 48. Now CUMMIN will give you the minimum of the columns. So here you can see the second column 2 is minimum, again 1 and 2. So this is the answer for the whole. Talk about maximum. So it talks about CUMMAX will give you the maximum of the cumulative. So here you have 2, 8 and 8, right? Function min and max. So minimum will give you the minimum out of the whole data frame, or if you talk about different axes or rows or columns. So if we have a data frame called D, and this is the value of the data frame, if I write D min, it will print the minimum value column wise, right? So vanilla has a minimum value 12, chocolate has 20, strawberry has 20, and butterscotch has 22. So this value is printed. If I write max, the maximum value of the corresponding columns will be printed. If we want the values of the rows, we need to write axis equals to 1. Otherwise, axis is taken as default. Function min can have 3 parameters. If we don't give any parameter, the default values of axis, skip NA, and numeric only is taken. So the very first parameter of min or max is the axis. If we don't prescribe, default value of axis is 0. Skip NA means it will exclude the value if NaN value is there. It will not count that. So it is always true. Now numeric only, the basic value is true by default. So if you want, likewise, mean, median, and mode can also be taken out by writing d dot d mode. You will get the mode of the data. So vanilla, so if we add and take out the mode, we'll be getting mode, and median also can be taken out this way. If you want it row wise, we just need to write axis equals to 1 in the argument for mean, median, mode. Now count and sum. So if you want to count how many values are there column wise, means exactly how many rows is prescribed for that single column, you can do by count method. So if you do it row wise, you have to write axis 1, and if column wise you are doing, you need to write axis 0 or nothing. Sum also can be done row wise as well as column wise. So if you want it column wise, you'll be just writing d dot sum. If you want it row wise, you need to write d dot sum axis equals to 1. Quantile. So what is a quantile? Each of any value. So when we are dealing about the set of data, we just want to know the value of variation. Okay, so this is expressed in terms of quantile. So our data is dividing into a frequency distribution into equal groups, right? Each containing the same fraction of the total population. So if we have n number of data, so what happens is the whole data is divided into 4 groups. Like if you have learned the table for the frequency, so 25% is left of the quantile and 25% is at the right, and then this is the figure for it, distribution of your data. Now what is the syntax for quantile? So we'll be writing DataFrame.quantile, q equals to 0.5, axis 0, numeric only true. So if I write quantile here without giving any value, the default values are taken. That is q is 0.5, axis is 0, and numeric only is true. You can see here. We write quantile, I get the quantile of the data. Now if I want that it should be distributed on the given variation, so I just need to mention the quantile for each and every row, and then I'll get. So this is 0.25 I have given, this is 0.5, 0.75, 10. So this is the quantiles what we are getting it. We can also mention it on different axes. Okay, so we are getting it this way. If I'm writing, I'm giving no axis here, columns are taken. If I write axis here, rows are taken. Now var function helps you to take out the variance. So for that we just need to write d dot var. Okay, and these are the default value, axis 0, skip NA true, and numeric only true. So if you want, you can change the value. Skip NA you can write false, numeric only also false can be written, and then you'll have different data. Okay, so this is again column wise and this is row wise by specifying the axis.